Let's move over to running backs here, and Jay, nice call last night on our top one, Jaylen Warren. His rushing prop over is a cash. He's 53% available. They got a bye, so he's going to be resting this week, but then the Commanders, Ravens, Browns on Thursday Night Football. The nice thing about Warren is, besides some rushing upside and a good amount of work here, he also will get you a handful of dump-offs as well.
He will. There was a bit of a correction, or at least an adjustment in terms of the snap share, where previous week Jaylen Warren outsnapped Najee Harris, albeit narrowly, and then last night it was back to Najee. Najee is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards.
It's been great.
Man. Yeah, I was thinking
especially the last 3 weeks have been phenomenal.
It might have been a year too early on Najee Harris, but yeah, Jaylen Warren. I think that Harris has been probably too good that it's unlikely that Warren completely takes control of the backfield, and so he will only really vault into serious value if Najee Harris does get hurt. But at the same time, like, he's going to be, flex viable because of the pass game usage that he gets. And also the main thing too is that the Steelers just have this brutal schedule the rest of the way. Like, they haven't played Baltimore, they haven't played Cincinnati yet. They get a game against Philadelphia. It's going to be tough for them. So, and they get the Commanders straight away, I believe, out of the bye. So Jaylen Warren, I think, is going to be flex viable, and then he has the upside if Najee Harris ever gets hurt. Yeah,
Matthew, everybody's looking, especially during the bye weeks, and unfortunately they're on one right now, but to just fill flex spots or fill their RB2 spot, at least with Warren, it seems like you get some kind of fantasy floor because of the usage.
He's had a double-digit target share in 4 of the past 5 games. He's gotten 5 red zone touches in the last 2 games, right? I mean, so they're using him in close. They're using him in the passing game as well. And so Jaylen Warren is just way too talented to be available in 54% of Yahoo leagues. I agree with you, Jay. You're a year too early on Najee Harris. You're formally and now back to being good name. You attached to Najee Harris. He looked great last night. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later here as well. But we know Arthur Smith wants to do one thing and one thing only. He wants to run the ball, and he's going to run with both of them. And credit the Giants offensive line. They're playing really well. I think Russell Wilson is a much better quarterback for both running backs, but specifically Warren than Justin Fields, because Wilson is much more likely to dump it off under pressure versus Fields, who will tuck it and run. And so Warren, just, again, you can't use him this week, but we've talked about him for a few weeks on the show. Pick him up. He's too good to be available in this many leagues.
Our next running back, Tyjae Spears, he's healthy, we think now, 53% available. He has missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. He's got the Patriots on deck, Matthew, and it felt like when Tyjae Spears was healthy, he was factoring into this rushing attack plan by Bill Callahan for a team that wants to run the football.
I mean, listen, they absolutely want to run the football, because their other option is to let, one of the quarterbacks throw it. And, that so far has not worked out particularly well for them. Look, it's a nice matchup this week against the Patriots, right? Over the last 4 weeks, they allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Tyjae Spears, in his last 2 healthy games, has double-digit fantasy points. That was weeks 3 and 4. And by the way, the Titans, very quietly, they're 8th in running back target share this season. No DeAndre Hopkins as well. So you're just thinking about who's viable in this passing attack. Yes, Calvin Ridley's going to get a lot of looks, but beyond that, it's just sort of let's involve the running backs. Both guys, both Pollard and Spears, are very good pass catchers. And so given the struggles of that offensive line, you can see a bunch of dump-offs as well. So Tyjae Spears is somebody that we think is kind of interesting in a PPR flex sort of way.
Our next running back here, Jay, Braylon Allen on the short week against the Texans. He's 63% available. Very quietly, as much as Brees was more efficient and more productive, this was almost a split carry against New England, and Braylon Allen got the touchdown.
Yep, Braylon Allen getting goal line work. His stats as well a bit deflated. He scored the touchdown, I believe, against the Bills. He got called back by the Tyron Smith suspect holding penalty. Here's the thing with the Jets as well. You've completely given up on them. But the Jets, if they had a real kicker, they'd be 5-3.
But they don't.
2-6. And
as we sit here, they still do not.
Yeah, man.
That's fair, though.
That's not great. But what do you think Braylon Allen's role will be the rest of the season? Do you think what the usage was against the Patriots, is that going to carry through the rest of the year?
Yeah, they like him to run a lot of the downhill runs, and at the goal line, the touchdowns, besides it just in the run game, are his, right? Even you brought up the one that was called back against the Bills. He was at fullback, and they ran the fullback belly. So they're looking for different ways to have him punch in the ball at the goal line, where Brees looks more efficient. He's better in the pass game. But listen, it's desperate times right now. If you're hoping to get 7 to 10 points, Braylon Allen could fall into the end zone for you right now, and there's a good chance that the Texans are giving up almost 5 yards a carry. The problem is teams don't run the ball enough against them because of the script.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Braylon Allen can fall into the end zone again.
Jets are 2-point favorites in that game.
It's unbelievable.
Much to your chagrin.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Jets win. Jets win.
All right, we'll see. Matthew, Braylon Allen on the short week. I'm sure there's going to be some people because of injuries, because of how brutal waivers are, especially in the League of Assholes, that are going to have to start him and just, once again, hope that he falls into the end zone for this team.
You talked about this in the preseason, Connor, that Braylon Allen was going to have a role, that he wasn't just merely an insurance back behind Breece Hall, that Braylon Allen was somebody that they liked a lot, that has been productive at various points during the season, that he will have a role on offense. And so as the Jets try to find out what their identity is, I think they're learning quickly that, they're better off not having Aaron Rodgers throw it, to be perfectly honest. And so, we'll see Braylon Allen get a little bit of work. He's touchdown dependent, but aren't we all? And if there's something good to say about that, look, he's got at least one goal line carry in 2 of the last 3 games. And now, as you mentioned, he gets the Houston Texans, who you can run on somewhat as well. So feels like the performance from last week, where he went 12 for 32 and had a rushing touchdown, has earned him a little bit more playing time.
Maybe the biggest conversation right now around the running back position in fantasy is simply, when will Christian McCaffrey be back? The Niners, of course, are on a bye in Week 9. We got to hear from Kyle Shanahan on if McCaffrey plans on returning for Week 10.
Depends how this week goes. I mean, he's had no setbacks, so it looks like we're on track. But he's going to hit it hard this week while we're gone and kind of simulate some practice stuff for himself. And as long as it all goes good, hopefully we'll get him back in practice next week.
The plan would be to open his window on that Monday for the bonus practice.
If everything continues going right, if he has a good week this week.
Is the expectation that once he's back, he's back? I mean, that he will have ramped up and to a point where you can have his standard workload?
Now, the expectation is to see how he is when he gets back and then evaluate him as he goes, I mean, of course, the hope is that everything just goes back to normal and it's, perfect, but that's what we're all striving for. But you got to play that out smartly, and you got to evaluate that each day, what we see with our own eyes, what he tells us. That'll be something we constantly are working through.
What a fun mess, Jay. A situation that Jordan Mason is banged up with the shoulder. Maybe could have returned, didn't.
No.
Isaac Guerendo, productive when he gets the ball. They're on a bye. And, yes, everybody's hoping Christian McCaffrey's back, but let's be real. It still feels 50-50 to me.
Yeah, I can't have Jordan Mason on the sideline with his helmet anymore. It just kills me as a Jordan Mason manager. It's just like sticking pins in the Crouch of Voodoo doll just every time that I see him on the sideline. With the helmet, is he going to come back or not? I would not be dropping Jordan Mason or anything, because with this McCaffrey situation, even if he does come back, it seems like they're just trying to give it a go and see how it feels. And it seems like there is a decent chance of re-aggravation. At least that's in the range of outcomes. At which point, fancy playoffs, Jordan Mason could be the San Francisco 49ers running back. With Guerendo, in deeper leagues, maybe you take a chance, but you need the parlay to hit of CMC gets hurt and then Mason's shoulder acts up again, which with the shoulder, maybe that'll happen. But I think he is just someone purely as a flyer in deeper leagues. Jordan Mason still, I think, could have some utility.
Yeah, Matthew, do you agree?
I do agree, but I think there's a chance that parlay hits. Again, Jordan Mason now is left. This is the second game in a row, not the second game in a row, but it's the second game that he's left early due to that shoulder injury as well. I was down to the final 6 in a guillotine league, and Jordan Mason's injury is what killed me. I ended up losing by 2 points, getting chopped there. Thanks, exciting Jordan Mason. But to your point, we'll see what happens when he comes back. Yes, the expectation is that Chris McCaffrey returns after the Week 9 bye, but he was also the expectation was that he was going to start the season, that it was no big deal. Oh, and it's just he's going to miss the 1 week. And then, we're going to put him on IR, but he's going to come back after IR. Who the hell knows? Within the range of outcomes is we've seen Chris McCaffrey's last game in the NFL. I don't know if that's a 1% chance, if that's a 0.5% chance, but it's a non-zero chance. Honestly, who knows what's going on? Kyle Shanahan from the podium there just did not sound super confident. It was he's going to try, and there's been some complications, and we're hopeful. Just to hear the tone in his voice where it's just exhausting. So I think that, again, obviously because he's on the bye and because there's a chance that he's completely worthless in 2 weeks, Isaac Guerendo is merely I have an open bench spot. I'm too high up in my ranking, my league standings. I don't really need anyone. I've managed to avoid the injury bug, but so he's just sort of a stash, and there's a chance that come Week 10 he's the starting running back of the Niners, and there's a chance that he's not useful. But given the injury history of both Mason and McCaffrey, Guerendo is somebody that I think could have potential value not only in Week 10, but at some point down in the future as well, because when he's gotten opportunities this year, he's produced.
Our last one here, Jay, Ezekiel Elliott against the Falcons. He's 75% available. Rico Dowdle missed Week 8 because of illness. They have the Falcons, the Eagles, the Texans on Monday Night Football, and the Commanders. Zeke, another guy, falls into the end zone is basically what you're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't really bother with Zeke. To be honest, go spend time with your family. Go read a book instead of picking up Zeke off the waiver wire. I mean, yeah, if Rico Dowdle, if this illness persists for another week, then I guess. Like, the Falcons sneakily haven't been a good rush defense. They're bottom 5 in terms of success rate. But still, Ezekiel, it doesn't seem like he has much left. Very touchdown dependent.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.